Welcome to my channel. Asterisk, what I'm about to tell you still doesn't feel real, even after everything that happened. I replay that moment over and over in my head, wondering if there was something I missed, some warning sign I ignored. Because when I asked a simple question, when is the wedding, I never expected the answer that came next. Asterisk, we got married yesterday. Asterisk, my name is Linda Carter. I'm 58 years old, a retired elementary school teacher from Ohio. I raised my son, Michael, by myself after his father passed away when Michael was 9. He was my whole world. Quiet, polite, intelligent. The kind of boy neighbors loved and teachers praised. We were closer than most mothers and sons. Maybe too close, if I'm being honest. Asterisk, Michael moved out at 24 for a job in Chicago. That was hard for me, but we talked every day. Phone calls, texts, video, chats. I knew his routines, his habits, even his moods just from his voice. That's why when things started to change, I felt it before I understood it. It began when he told me about a woman named Emily. He didn't say much, just that he'd met someone at work. She was quiet, private, not really a people person. He said, I asked for photos. He said she didn't like pictures. I asked when I could meet her. He said, soon, Mom, she just needs time. That should have bothered me more than it did. Over the next few months, Michael called less. When he did, he sounded distracted, like someone else was always in the room with him. Sometimes I'd hear faint noises in the background, a soft humming, a whisper, but when I asked, he'd laugh it off. Asterisk, then one day, out of nowhere, he said, Emily and I are thinking about getting married. Asterisk, I remember sitting down hard in my kitchen chair. Married? I hadn't even met her. I forced a smile into my voice and said how happy I was for him. I asked when the wedding would be. Asterisk, he paused. Just for a second, too long. Asterisk, soon, he said. We're keeping it simple. Asterisk, weeks passed. No invitation. No date. No details. Asterisk, finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove to Chicago unannounced. A mother's right, I told myself. Asterisk, Michael's apartment building was old, brick, narrow. Hallways, dim yellow lighting. When he opened the door, I almost didn't recognize him. He looked thinner, pale. His eyes had dark circles under them, like he hadn't slept in days. And then I saw her. Emily stood behind him, half hidden in the shadows of the hallway. She was tall, unnaturally thin, with long dark hair that hung straight down her back like a curtain. Her skin was almost gray, like she'd never seen sunlight. When she smiled, it didn't reach her eyes. Asterisk, Mom, this is Emily. Michael said. Asterisk, Emily stepped forward and held out her hand. Her fingers were ice cold. She stared at me without blinking for an uncomfortable amount of time. Asterisk, it's nice to finally meet you, she said. Asterisk, her voice was soft, but wrong somehow. Like it echoed slightly, even though we were standing in a small apartment. Asterisk, we sat down at the table. Emily didn't eat. She just watched me while Michael talked. Every time I tried to ask her something, where she grew up, what her family was like, she'd deflect the question back to Michael, or smile silently. Asterisk, after dinner, trying to sound casual, I asked, so when's the wedding? Asterisk, Emily tilted her head slowly. We got married yesterday, she said. I laughed. I thought she was joking. Michael didn't laugh. Asterisk, you what? I asked. Asterisk, Michael nodded. It was small, just us. Asterisk, no photos. No witnesses, no paperwork he could show me. Just his word. Asterisk, something inside me screamed that this wasn't right. Asterisk, I stayed the night in their guest room. I barely slept. Around 3 a.m., I heard voices through the thin wall. Michael's voice sounded strained, almost panicked. Emily's voice was calm, soothing. And then I heard something else. Asterisk scratching, like fingernails dragging slowly along wood. I opened my door quietly and stepped into the hallway. The scratching stopped instantly. Emily stood at the end of the hall, facing away from me. Asterisk, Emily? I whispered. Asterisk, she turned around far too quickly. Her smile was wider now. Too wide? You should be sleeping, she said. The next morning, Michael looked exhausted. When I pulled him aside and asked if everything was okay, he just said, she takes care of me. You don't need to worry anymore. That hurt more than I want to admit. Back home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I started digging. There was no marriage license filed in Cook County. No record of Emily anywhere. No social media, no work. History, no background. It was like she didn't exist. I called Michael to tell him. He got angry. I'd never heard him raise his voice at me before. Asterisk, stop looking into her, he snapped. You're jealous. Jealous. That word cut deep. Asterisk, a week later, Michael stopped answering my calls entirely. Asterisk, 3 weeks after that. The police called Doc. Asterisk, they found Michael wandering barefoot on the side of a rural highway outside the city. Disoriented, dehydrated. He kept repeating the same sentence over and over. Asterisk, she said it would be forever. Asterisk, at the hospital, he didn't recognize me at first. When he finally did, he burst into tears. He told me everything. Emily wasn't human. He said she appeared in his apartment one night without knocking. Said she'd been watching him for a long time. That she chose him because he was lonely. Because he was devoted. Because he would say yes. Asterisk, she convinced him the marriage had already happened. That once spoken, vows couldn't be undone. That she needed him. To stay. Asterisk, every night after the wedding. She'd whisper promises in his ear while something crawled along the walls. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. The apartment grew colder. Mirrors showed reflections that didn't match. Asterisk, when he finally tried to leave, she screamed, not like a human scream, like metal tearing. Asterisk, he ran. She didn't follow. Asterisk, at least. Not then. Asterisk, Michael moved back in with me. He sleeps with the lights on now. Sometimes I catch him staring at his wedding ring, a plain black band he says he doesn't remember buying. Asterisk, last night, there was a knock at my door. I opened it. Emily stood on my porch, smiling softly. Asterisk, you shouldn't interfere with a marriage, she said. Asterisk, then she looked past me. Into the house. Asterisk, I came to take my husband home. And that's when I realized something truly horrifying. Michael was standing behind me. Asterisk, smiling. Asterisk, if you're listening to this and someone you love suddenly tells you they're married. And you were never invited. Ask questions because sometimes the wedding already happened. Asterisk, and sometimes asterisk, it never ends.